So hi, this is Merlin, and today the main topic is the SSG and SSR and CSR in the web development. Um, as you guys know, like those kind of like SSG, SSR, CSR is really kind of confusing concept when you're like beginner or junior, not junior, just the like if you're trying to understand what is like CSR, SSG, SSR is gonna be hard. The first thing you have to learn about is the routing in the web development. Example, this requires some kind of understanding of some kind of CS knowledge. When you go some kind of that Facebook, so is the URL going to be https facebook.com. This is pretty fine URL, right? But under the hood, I mean the routing concept of it, we thought we are going to some kind of page that on the location which is https the facebook.com, but actually we are heading the facebook.com. Wait, why can't I revise? Yeah, but actually we are heading the HTML. So it does means that the URL without those kind of HTML, and we just navigate it. Oh, this is pretty fine URL, and this is the home page, or this is the Facebook page. Every single page has HTML, and in the web server, if you have an experience of configuring Nginx, you will learn that this will be attached. So why? Because the main component of the web page is actually the HTML. Not CSS, not JavaScript, it's only HTML. To build some kind of pretty nice website, you only need HTML. But nowadays we require some kind of styles, so we need to have CSS. And now we have to make it interactive with some kind of lot of feature on it, so we attach with the JavaScript. So we learned that even we thought that's a really simple page, it has already one HTML of it. But the question is that if there are multiple pages, do I have to create the HTML part of that? Why don't I just create the one HTML but do everything? If I want to go some kind of that home login register, there's many pages. What if I wanna make only HTML on this root of the web page and other things as just JavaScript? So this is kind of an area of the routing concept. JavaScript can do everything, even the routing. So what they did was, okay, since JavaScript can do everything, we just make this the root the location, just only one HTML attached in that. So the one web application has one HTML, and other location we're gonna be handled by the JavaScript. So this is why if you're trying to look at the command CRA, create React app, the HTML is gonna be div id app, like this. The reason why it looks like this is because this JavaScript is gonna do everything. The CSR concept is that it's kind of like that. The responsibility gonna be changed. So example, and the build time, there's already pretty much HTML of it. Let me just try to is there any HTML? Where are they? I'm just gonna copy paste. Wait, hold on. I'm just gonna copy paste the HTML code on it to make it simple, just to make it visible. Yeah, this is good. So this is HTML. What is it? Yeah, this is pretty much fine. Not. Sorry. I think this is gonna be better. So this is just the HTML page. And there are a bunch of like paragraph on it. But let's say there's a bunch of like more HTML beside of that. So and there's more of it. So the SSGs means that it's already fully made HTML of it. So what they have to do is, since there's no kind of big interactivity, I just can receive already full made HTML, and so I don't have to execute some kind of JavaScript to make the HTML. Since there's already made HTML, we just have to let browser to parse it and render it, and that's very simple. But CSR means that there's no kind of, there's only, so the CSR concept is that there's this kind of part is that it means that JavaScript is gonna try to append a lot of HTML via the DOM event, DOM query selector. So the app is gonna be the most root of the DOM query. So whatever. So the CSR means that let JavaScript do everything. Since there are more bunch of HTML, but JavaScript is just gonna make the HTML of it. There's not already full made HTML. The user have to wait the JavaScript to make the HTML, and as HTML has to render on the web page. The problem of the CSR is that client-side rendering is that since JavaScript do almost everything, even minimal thing, and the client has to look at the white page which means that till JavaScript run it. But what if I said, if there's only interactivity feature, only inject JavaScript, but other things, let's just make some kind of SSG like. So this is really hybrid of the approach of CSR with the SSG. Since the user have to see white screen, if it's really it is really like client side. Example, if your render method is CSR, and if there's a lot of JavaScript, you just have to see white page. So to reduce that, we're just gonna wrap using a SSG, so we don't have to think about to wait to make user to wait see the first page of it. But SSR, what's the SSR? SSR means that since CSR is the let JavaScript make the HTML, but the CSR means that let server make HTML. So it's kind of really confusing. SSG make HTML but the build time. CSR make HTML but the runtime of the JavaScript. The SSR means that make HTML but in our server, not static server, is a server. So what's the difference of the static server and just the normal server? The Nginx server is static server that only requires the one single thread, which is main thread, and it's just the using event handler events. But the what we know as a server, backend server, is just the under the hood is trying to doing the, I think it's open to socket inside the operating system, and it is really rapidly and communicates with the operating system, and so it means that it widely opens every day. So if you turn off the server, it's gonna be not being using. So whatever. So since it's already being active, server-side rendering is kind of good when your content is actively changing. Example, SSR means that your server, your content is rapidly changing, but not at the socket, but it changing. So means that when you're trying to do the request, server should make dynamically change the HTML and send it back to the client. So for the client is really good to see the new content and without the white page. So that's really good. It's just kind of like the more advanced version of the SSG SSR, but I don't think it's not, because the server-side rendering means that it's just a server. Okay, the server is actually hard to manage. If you're not server engineer, you're just a client engineer, it's gonna be hard to manage. Where you have to think about load balancer, you have to think about what CPU, how many CPU it gets. So since no server is single threaded, it only uses one thread. So you have to think about, so how many CPU cores would be good for the single threaded application. Since SSR, it doesn't require some kind of big expensive operation. You just have to make HTML of it. But however, since you have to make HTML, but really it can't inject the dynamic content into HTML, you have to think that it also communicates with your backend server of it, the rear back server. This is like server for the client. So since this is already server, so you have to communicate with the backend server of it. So what if the backend server crash? If your server has to crash, so those kind of things is really kind of really kind of hard. So my general recommendation is do not really stick into SSR. If it's like I never saw like some big famous web application had a problem of the performance, and after they choose SSR is gone. I don't think that's the correct idea. The SSR is really the answer of the increasing performance. You can just wrap SSG with the CSR of it, or reduce the API cost of it, or reduce the rendering when the React rendering. I think that's gonna be an issue of it. So I think this is it. Have a nice day. Bye bye.